Well, we're going to take off a short break, but when we return, we're going to put that happiness to work. You know, with all the daily stress we get from work and more, well, how do you put a smile on your face? Our guest will show us in just 2 minutes. Welcome back to the program. Now this week we are spreading the good vibes as we put the spotlight on happiness, that elusive quality that we all seek.
And one man believes it's something that can be taught and learned, and that's why he has organized a 2-day conference on the subject.
Maybe he's found a way to like bottle happiness and say, here, you can have a bowl of happiness. And,
you can buy it, yeah, off the shelf.
Well,
there you go.
We'll ask him. Joining us this morning, Philip Merry, organizer of the New Science of Happiness and Wellbeing Conference that starts this Wednesday. Good morning, Philip.
Good morning.
And we got to ask you about that name, Philip Merry. I mean, are you for real?
You know, I had one person actually approach me and said, did I invent the name for the conference? No. My dad's name is Merry. Now, in England, we have, you know, names are based on what your ancestors did. So my ancestors could either have been the village drunk, could have been the village joker, but the romantic story I prefer, I was born 5 miles from Sherwood Forest. So maybe I'm connected to Robin Hood and the Merry Men. Who knows? But yeah, Merry's for real.
I should tell my friend. I have a good friend whose name is Bill Dull, like D-U-L-L. So I don't know what his ancestry is, but yeah, we won't.
Well, okay.
So we're talking about happiness and how it can be taught and learned. Is it that easy, like the way, you know, the analogy that Stephen put it? It can be bottled and just be given to anyone.
You know, the reason why we've called the whole approach Simply Happy is because 10 years of research in positive psychology has come up with simple stuff that we know already. Simple things like family and friends. If you've got family and friends, you're more likely to be happy. So, yeah, it is relatively simple.
But can it be taught and learned?
Absolutely. Some of the people that we have speaking this week will actually talk about the genetic inheritance. So 50% of our happiness quota, they say, is inherited. So if your mum and dad were happy, you're more likely to be happy too. But the good news is that means that 50% can be learned. So absolutely, the conference is all about how you can actually teach yourself and how you can learn to be much happier than you are now.
So how do you teach happiness and how do you learn it?
By focusing on at least 3 things, many more, but the 3 things that I like to focus on is to say, if you've got family and friends, I mean, all of us have got family and friends. When I spend time with my friends, I'm happy, but I don't do enough of it. So, yeah, number 1, spend time with your family and friends. You can teach yourself to be happy. Number 2, be able to contribute to something bigger than yourself. You know, if you're kind of a bit depressed or fed up, I'm always sure that spending time with somebody else, with kids, helping the next door neighbor, brings you out of yourself. So if you consciously every day spend time with somebody else, helping somebody else, that can teach you to be happy.
You know, that's a key point, because I guess you're rarely depressed in a group. You don't go out and be with a bunch of friends and say, let's be sad together, right? You know what I mean? But then when you're sad, you're usually alone and you're kind of just not doing anything. You're just moaning and thinking, wallowing in self-pity, as they say.
Exactly.
But then again, maybe it's hard for some people to go out and meet a bunch of friends and make friends. And then to say spend more time with friends, also, you got to work.
It's a choice, you know, we all have a choice. And I believe, one thing that separates us from the animals is that we have a choice to actually choose what we do. Animals just respond. If we know, and this is what we want to teach in the conference, if we know that there are specific tools and techniques, then you choose to make them. And I think you can learn to be much happier by doing that.
So happiness is something that can, you know, it's something that you have to pursue, as they say, the pursuit of happiness. And it's something that you have to decide that you want it. It's not given to you automatically.
Well, remember I said 50% of your happiness is inherited, but I coach a lot of executives who are pretty unhappy. And I think a lot of us search for success, thinking the success will bring happiness. You know, we look for the next job, we look for the next car, we look for the next relationship, wife or husband, thinking the next time. And what I like to say to people, don't put off happiness. I had one executive who said, I said to him, what would make you really happy? He said, you know, bathing my children at least once a week, reading them a bedtime story and putting them to bed. That would make me really happy. I said, so why don't you do it? And I think, you know, happiness is within our reach, and a lot of us put it off until another day.
So it's almost like just prioritizing your own life and just deciding what's more important to you.
Partly that, but first of all, you've got to say, at what times am I really happy? I mean, I'm sure all of us, if you two think about which points of the day are you really happy? You two always come across to me as very, very happy when you're presenting the show. So you're doing something that you love, I'm sure.
Right.
And that's one of the other things about happiness. If you're actually in a job that you love doing, you're much more likely to be happy than otherwise.
I guess it shows. And you'll have positive energy around you, which would then,
exactly.
you know...
Exactly.
Wait, let's come back to the point. You say 50% is genetic. I would disagree. I would say, is it more the environment? If you grow up in a family that's fairly, you know, happy most of the time, it would rub off on you. But then, genetically, do we have happy chromosomes?
Yes.
We do?
Now, you have Sonia Lyubomirsky, who's one of the people at the conference coming to talk to you on Wednesday morning. You can ask her about the science of that, but she says absolutely for sure, 50% is genetic. And 50%, because if 50% is environment and how you actually respond to it, to me that's good news.
What's the biggest obstacle to happiness for most people that you find?
Putting it off. A lot of Singaporeans say, you know, I'll be happy when. And I think, you know, we put it off. So my big message to people, stop putting it off.
Maybe it's not really putting it off. Maybe it's putting a condition to what happiness is to you.
Are we measuring it by the wrong scale, with the wrong scale?
A lot of people think that more money will bring you happiness, right? Advertising, a lot of stuff makes us think that material goods will make us happy. So I think you're absolutely right, Stephen. We're measuring it against the wrong scale. And I think that by simply realizing what it is that truly makes you happy, then you begin to measure your life by different criteria. Nobody on their deathbed, sorry to be morbid, nobody on the deathbed wishes they'd spent more time in the office, for example.
But it's also a mindset, isn't it? You know, how you look at things. Because I can look at a cup of tea and say it's half full versus half empty. I can say, I don't have $1 million, but I'm happy because at least I have $1,000 in the bank. I don't know.
Absolutely. You've put your finger on it there. The half empty or half full glass, it really depends on how you look at it. And our search for Singapore's happiest person, which we'll announce the top 4 today, has uncovered the most incredible stories. But what is amazing is that Singaporeans are the same as the rest of the world. It's the simple things that make people happy. We have one guy who says the time when I'm most happy, or happy during the day, is when I go and see this petrol pump attendant who fills my car. You know, he said just being around him makes me feel really happy.
Just the little things in life.
Little things in life.
What makes you happy, Philip?
My wife. Because I mean, her acts of love and kindness. She's a hypnotherapist. We run the business together, and she's put her business on hold to support this conference. So that makes me happy. Things that make me happy are my work. I have a wonderful job which takes me all over the world. I work with the United Nations, healing conflict across cultures. And when I see 2 people who are fighting actually reconcile and come to an agreement together, that makes me happy. That makes me happy.
Well, thank you so much for
coming.
You're
very welcome.
Morning and spreading the word of happiness. Philip Mary there.
As we know, so it's really simple. I mean, if we told ourselves every day, so today I'm going to be happy for at least 2 minutes at some point during the day, and then go find that something you really enjoy doing. Just go do it once, you know. I mean,
what makes you happy, Stephen?
Me, a lot of things. I like having lunch and then taking a nap. That makes me happy. It just feels great, you know.
Along the same lines, you know, sleeping late in the morning would make me very happy.
I love going for a massage. It makes me really happy. I like that.
Or doing things that feel good, you know. I'm sure you know what they are. So that will make you happy. All those topics that we've discussed will be also debated on more at the conference. It's called simply-happy.com, and that's the website address actually that I've just read out.
For the Happiness Conference, and we're speaking to Philip Mary, organizer of the New Science of Happiness and Wellbeing, and that conference starts in Singapore this Wednesday. So I believe tickets are still available. So log on to the website, simplyhappy.com.
And also we'll be inviting more experts on happiness to share some tips throughout the week. And the next one coming up will be on Wednesday itself. How to keep your kids stress-free and happy. Oh, that will be...
That's going to be a tough one.
Prayer answered for parents.
How to keep the parents happy? If the kids are happy, the parents are happy.
You know, I just want to say something. You know, happiness is not a privilege. It's a choice. And a person who looks beyond what's perfect will perhaps be happy for a long time. You know, you always want things to be perfect. And when nothing is perfect...
I've got to listen to that. That's a whole bit of philosophy right there.
Understand. Okay,
there we go. There you go.
Moving on now, we'll be right back with more.
We'll see you after the break.